first speaker of the day is a young man with big ambitions from Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia. In order to escape the turmoil of war at the time, he left Somalia with his grandchildren, his grandmother and siblings when he was just 12, and found himself here in Malaysia. Not knowing a word of English or Bahasa, he braved the unknown. 6 years later, at 18, right? This outstanding young man is now a teacher to others who seek refuge in Malaysia.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As she mentioned, my name is Ahmed Bashir, I'm from Somalia. So today I want to share with you guys like when I came to Malaysia, what I faced and why I left my country and how I want to change people like me. So when we're in Somalia, after civil wars 1991, government schools destroyed and private schools came out. And 80% of Somali families cannot afford to pay the private schools. So me, I didn't attend any school in Somalia. I just attended a religious school. I learned their Quran. And our financial family, we were just normal and our level was average. Situation in Somalia, year after year, after 1991, everything was getting worse. So why we left Somalia? We left Somalia 2 reasons. Because of the war and because of no education. And our grandmother decided to take us a new place that we can find a better education and better place to live. So then we chose Malaysia. The reason my grandmother chose Malaysia was she heard that Malaysia is a good place that we can find education. And there is a United Nations High Commission refugees who help refugees who flew from their country and give them a place to live and resettle them to the third countries. So I arrived in Malaysia 2007, June 27, 1:45 a.m. KLI. So problems we faced when I came to Malaysia, all of us. I have no friends when I came here. I could not speak English and no relatives and no Somalis in the building. I came a building full of local people and foreigners. And that time, and I could not speak English. Imagine like if you go a place that you don't know the language and you don't know the people, and you don't have friends, and you are only one family there. Even you don't have someone you are same country. So I want to share with you guys how I learned English. When I arrived in Malaysia, I was sleeping 2 days because I was tired. Because I heard a lot of guns in Somalia. And when I came to Malaysia, it was beautiful, everything. There were no gunshots. There were no one talking to you, where are you going and what are you doing? Because it's a beautiful country. When I came to Malaysia, I was leaving 2 days. And after 2 days, I decided to go downstairs. When I went downstairs, I saw Malaysian boys playing football. And I was crazy playing football at that time. And I wanted to play with them. Then, when I moved to close them, I realized that I could not speak English. I cannot speak Bahasa Malaya. Their language. And I was like, my mind, like, Ahmed, something's wrong with you. What do you want to tell them? Like, do you want to play with them and you don't know anything about it? At that time, I found one thing that was, I didn't find my voice. I found my body language. And I wanted to play that. And then I realized, like, let's do something then you can play and have fun and can find a friends. And I came to close them. And I called one of them. And I said to them this. Hey. So even my body language was wrong, but I wanted to. So I wanted to tell them like that. I want to play football, man, because staying at home and sleeping is nothing. Then the guy understood, and I joined with them and I played with them. Later, they start asking me questions. I didn't understand what they asked me. At that time, I remember they say a lot of things about me. I didn't understand anything. It doesn't matter what they say, bad or good. I had one thing that everybody can understand. That thing was this. There's a smile for everything. Then later, it was after a year. Because when you know someone who can help you to learn something, then you can learn something. That time we had no one. And later 1 year, we met someone special for us. She was with the UNHCR. She was recording a video about World Refugee Day. Then she showed her video, and then after 2 weeks, we received a phone call from her, and she wanted to teach us English at home tuition. Then she started teaching us English. Then I started learning there at home and started practicing to my friends. I remember I did a lot of mistakes. I remember one thing I did. I asked one of my friends, like, I wanted tea. And I asked him, like, how to say tea. And he told me. And I was walking, I was just like saying tea, 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 tea. And one of my friends came to me and was like, hey, hello, Ahmed. I said, hey, tea. Because on my mom was like tea, because I went and I didn't know the word. So then I learned how to speak English, and she found a school 2009 called Fiji School. Then I learned their language and a lot of subjects there. So unforgettable year, 2009. We were 5. Now you can see the picture. Someone is missing here. The person who used to take care of us after our parents, one left us, my mom and my father passed away. This year was a really horrible time for us. We were teenagers, and we had no one relative here. We were only 4 of us. So things like growing up in Mogadishu, really it's quite dangerous to grow up in Somalia. There are many serious obstacles for children to overcome, violence and poverty. And Somalia is the only one or two of countries that in the world that has not ratified the Convention on the Rights of the Child. When it comes to boys in Somalia, there's only this type of dreams you can have. To be a football player, because all of us, we like to play football. To be a soldier. To be a soldier is give you a reason, because you are the oldest of the family. Your father passed away, and no one can work for the family. And then you can choose to be a soldier, because you have to travel at school, and your family cannot afford to pay the school. Child labor, working over hours, just to make sure that your family eats something next morning. When it comes to girls, they have one dream, simple. When they got their first period, the only thing they want is to have a family. Imagine which age they want to have a family: 8, 18, 14, and 15. My friend used to talk to them. They used to ask me, like, Ahmed, what kind of dream you have? What's your ambition? And what do you want to be? It was hard for me to answer for them, because I had no dream that time. The dream that time I had was also, the only dreams I knew was like, when you sleep, the dream that you have. I didn't know that there's other dreams to do. Deborah taught me a lot of things. She opened my eyes to the beautiful world. She taught me like that I'm the one who can do something to my family. She told me that I'm a valuable person for my family and to this world, and I can make a difference. Now my dream is to be a businessman, just to help people. And I wanna drive one of beautiful cars. This, where is it? So what I do now I'm a teacher in the Fiji school. I help the refugees who just flew from Somalia, who are like me, who cannot speak English, who want to have a friends. I motivate them. I share with them my story, and I teach them English and math, what I know. I don't want them to feel like the way I feel a year. I don't want them to sit at home to have no friends 1 year or more than. I want them like just to have a friends and to feel that they are in a beautiful country, that they can change their lives. And now I'm a member of called Youth Collective Initiatives. We found this a year ago. It is for refugees, youth for 14 to 24. So our goal, that initiative, is like to unite the whole refugees. Now we have over 250 members. Guess what? How many youth refugees live in Malaysia? More than 27,000. Most of the youth refugees, they gave up. They want to work as a man or lady, restaurants. They forget their ambitions, they forget their dreams, and the reason is the situation. Because the situation you are will give you everything to do unless you motivate yourself, unless you tell yourself that you are the one and this is the world, so you can change it. And this is a time, will be a time that you can be whatever you want. 4 women changed my life. This is Miss Deborah, twice winner Miss Malaysia. This is Miss Yanti, she worked with UNHCR. And this is Shakin, she taught me math. She was with Deborah when they started teaching us math and English at home. These are my classmate 2009. So no one can stop till I reach my goal. I want to be what I want to be. Nobody can tell me that you can't be, because that's the life. Nobody can say to you, you can't be. You are the one who can please or cannot please. So please, you can make a difference in this world. You can make this world a place to live. Just try to change someone's life, and the person will start changing the other's life. Thank you very much.
Films really play a major role in people's lives nowadays, but they're not limited to just entertainment, but to also educate and to raise awareness. Our next speaker knows exactly how important films are and has filmed documentaries in conflict environments such as Afghanistan, Egypt, Tunisia, Turkey, Lebanon, and southern Thailand.
Okay, hi, my name is Zan Azlee. I am a solo journalist. That's what I like to believe. Now, a solo journalist, somebody like me, is a journalist who goes out, gathers stories as a one-man crew. In other words, what I do is I handle the camera, like Harun over here. I also handle the audio, like what Harun is doing as well, right? And I also actually interview the people that I'm meeting. I shoot. Sometimes I appear in front of the camera. Very easy technique. You just turn it around like that, right? And I also write the scripts. I also do the voiceovers. I do everything. And I even write articles, and I also take still photographs. So that is the definition of the term solo journalist, right? So that's what I like to believe I am. Okay, so with that, let me tell you, I'm just a journalist, and I take videos, and I write articles. I'm not really a good speaker. I'm not an attention seeker for people who know me, you know, right? I'm a very shy person. What I would like to do right now is to show you a video which I did as a solo journalist during the recent general elections in Lembah Pantai.
Kami bukan pengundi hantu. Oh, janganlah tutup muka aku.
Isu hari ini lah pengundi hantu ni. Tapi makcik bukan pengundi hantu. Makcik pengundi barisan.
Siapa yang kata makcik pengundi hantu?
Kami dah cek dah. Kami dah bertahun-tahun duduk di sini. Daripada 80-an kami mengundi. Tiba-tiba kami kata pengundi hantu. Sebab apa? Kami nak tahu sebab apa kami kata pengundi hantu.
Hantu,
Anak hantu lah.
Awak tampaknya di?
Ni sini ha ni. Sekarang kau kat sini. Ni hantu. Ha ni hantu.
So sejak berapa tahun dah pindah ke sana?
mungkin dalam
hampir 20 tahun.
20 tahun. Masa makcik kerja duduk di jalan yang gelap, Kampung Pasir. Lampu tak ada, apa tak ada. Sekarang dah senang, dah cantik, dah segak, dah direbut.
Daripada anak kecil-kecil sampai dah besar-besar, sampai dah kahwin.
Dulu Syahrizat datang angkat kain tinggi-tinggi jalan air.
Sampai dah bercucu-cucu.
Dia masa dah senang dia ambil cantik muka dia.
Dah ada kesenangan kita takkan lepaskan pada apa penghuni lain. Tetap mengambil air.
Ambil
Apa
air.
jadi hidup mati kami tetap mengambil air.
Jelas ya bahawa bekas wakil rakyat Lembah Pantai Nurul Izzah tidak turun padang. Mana dia tidak memahami apa kedudukan penduduk di Lembah Pantai, khususnya di pantai dalam yang berasal daripada golongan-golongan setinggan yang sekarang sudah berpindah di kawasan-kawasan perumahan bertingkat. Jadi dia tidak faham. Jadi bila dia tak faham, dia tengok alamat di tempat-tempat yang dah tak ada. Dia kata seolah-olah Barisan Nasional telah menghantar pengundi-pengundi hantu di sana.
My complaint to the Election Commission. I'm wondering why it is the UMNO leadership in Lembah Pantai who is representing the EC and responding to me. Now, there are 3 categories of voters that we objected to, lodged a complaint with the Election Commission. The first, dead voters in the electoral roll. Number 2, voters whose address is not complete. And number 3, voters who are not residing in the address displayed on the IC. So for me, he can say what he likes, but I am awaiting an official answer from the Election Commission. Furthermore, if you talk about incomplete addresses, why are the addresses not updated? And how can you have dead voters still in the electoral roll? We're talking about 5,000 here. I'm sorry, it doesn't sufficiently answer my questions. I would like the Election Commission to explain to me one by one and convince me that phantom voters will not determine the outcome of elections.
Okay, go.
Okay. So, that was a documentary series I shot for Astro AWANI during the general elections. I have to thank both camps for giving me full access to their candidates and their team and everything for the documentary to be a success. Now, you can go back to the slide. Now, solo journalism, all right, because it's a one-man crew who does everything, the tools of the trade is very, very important, okay? The important things that you need to have to be a solo journalist, right, is, number 1, a camera, right, obvious, and number 2, a laptop computer that has an editing software on it for you to edit whatever you have shot on the camera. Okay, these are the only 2 things you need, right? But this day and age, technology has already improved so much that end of this month, I'll be going to Myanmar. I'm hoping to shoot a documentary, a full half-an-hour documentary on just my iPhone, right? And actually, if you check on your iPhone or Android phone or whatever at the Google, the App Store and all that, you can actually find software, editing softwares that you can purchase and edit on the phone itself. So basically, end of this month, in another 2 weeks, when I go to Myanmar, all I need is this. Maybe I need extra power banks, right? But this is all I need to be a journalist, right? You do not need complicated equipment like this, right? Or that, right? Because it's very, very simple. Tools of the trade, 2 things. Camera, computer to edit. Everything in your smartphone, you have everything in your phone already. Okay? So that's all you need. See, the advantages of being a solo journalist, right, is because, number 1, the tools are really so simple, and then it's just you. It makes it very, very mobile, right? A lot of the documentaries that I shoot involves me traveling. I shot a documentary once in the Middle East where I went to 4 countries. I traveled for a month. I went to Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Iran, and it was just me. It was so easy. I can take the bus when I want to. I can rent a car when I want to, right? I can get a taxi if I wanted to. I did not have to think of the logistics of a huge crew that is following me. Very, very easy. Last year, I went to Egypt. I wanted to go into Gaza, right? I had to wait a very long time to get approval. If I had a crew, it would have been very difficult because I would have to organize where they would live, what they would eat, you know, and things like that. But it was just me, so I just hung around in Cairo, joined some protests, ate a lot of food, you know. And once I got approval, I could go in. But unfortunately, I did not get approval and I flew back to KL, right? So yeah, so it's very easy and very mobile. Efficiency. Now, if you are familiar with the journalism industry, especially broadcast journalism, when you go out and shoot a story, it requires a team, okay, a team. It would be 1 journalist or producer, right? Maybe 1 cameraman, maybe 1 audio man. Okay, and each of them has a specific role to play. The journalist and producer will be kind of like the guide, right? Trying to get the story. The cameraman, of course, will be the one who's getting the visuals. The audio man will be the one who's in charge of getting the audio and recording the audio properly, right? And then once they shoot, They come back, they go back to the station, they go back to the studios. Then they have to go and meet the visual editor. And then the producer or the journalist will have to sit down with the visual editor, explain to the visual editor, look, this is how the story is, this is what we interviewed, we got this. Then the visual editor has to understand the story, and then sit down in front of the computer, and then start loading in the footage, and then he starts using the mouse, and then edit, look through all the footage, and put it all together. And then once it's done, and then he has to move it along to the editor. The editor has to look at the story, right, and then go through the story, vet the story, and then finally it comes out. Now, as a solo journalist, what I do is, I shoot, I know what I've shot, I go back, turn on the computer, edit it, and it's done. Simple. Very, very simple. So efficiency, it makes it so much easier. There was one time when I was on assignment in Terengganu, right? I was supposed to get a story out for a Dutch news agency. They wanted the story immediately. I shot in the morning, I had to give it to them at night. It made it so easy. I went, shoot in the morning, right? I went home in the afternoon, had lunch, quickly edit, render the video. By evening, 6, 7 o'clock, Maghrib, just before I would take my ablution and smayang, I was able to send to the FTP server to the Dutch news agency. So it makes it very, very simple. Okay, so it simplifies the process. And then, another advantage of solo journalism is intimacy. Okay? When I go and interview people, imagine if I want to interview somebody. I call Susan. Susan, I want to interview you, right? And then I come with a crew. Right? There's 2 camera crew set up. One sets on the right side, one camera sets on the left hand side, and then I, as the interviewer, sits down in front of you. We fix the lighting. Audio guy comes in, puts up the microphone on you. Everything ready. And then me, I would signal to the cameraman, "Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, interview rolling, camera, sound speed," and then I start interviewing. Now, Susan, I don't know. Maybe you might be nervous. You might get scared, right? You might get intimidated because of all the crew and all the camera that is pointing at you, all the focus is on you. But when I go out alone, right, and I interview people, it's just me, and it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. They tend to see me as an individual, and then they want to chit-chat with me as if I'm just another person they just met on the street, right? So it's kind of like a trust issue, and it's also less intimidating. Okay, so it makes it very, very intimate, the interviews that I am able to get when it's just me. Sometimes I don't even put my camera on a tripod. I just sit down and leave it on my lap, right? So they don't even notice the camera. Okay, so then they open up, right? They open up. So one advantage of solo journalism. And then another thing, very, very important, is accessibility. Because it's so simple, because it's so easy, it democratizes the whole process. You don't need professional journalists anymore. Now everybody can be a journalist. That's a good side, that's a bad side, right? But as long as you have a little bit of common sense and be a little bit responsible, everybody can tell stories, true stories, right? So it democratizes the process. One person can shoot and straight away upload to the internet. You are a media platform all by yourself, okay? That's very, very important because that means solo journalism, is what I believe, can actually encourage, right, telling stories that are about real people. Okay? If you see a lot of big media organizations, when they run stories, the stories are always about VIPs, important people, people who are well known, people who are famous, and then they say something, and that's what gets into the news. And it's like advice for everybody, and everybody just listens, right? And that is considered news. But with solo journalism, when everybody is telling their own stories, real people's stories, we are listening from stories that are actually real and the truth. Okay, I may be a journalist, and I believe in the journalism profession, and I go and get stories from people, I go visit countries, I go visit places, and what I see, I tell to the people. But with solo journalism, the public can actually empower themselves and tell their own stories, because even if I go to Somalia 5,000 times, I would not be able to tell a true story as how Ahmed would tell the story. True or not true, right? When he stood here and he told his story about, coming to KL, doesn't know how to speak English, he wants to play football, that's the kind of story that should be told, and it should be coming straight from the horse's mouth, although you are much better looking than a horse, right? So yeah, that's what I believe solo journalism can actually encourage. I really, really believe that with solo journalism, not just professional journalists can tell stories, everybody can tell stories, because everybody has a story to tell and everybody deserves to tell their story. If you go to the last slide, I would like to end with one of my favorite quote by a writer, Japanese writer called Haruki Murakami. If there is a hard, high wall and an egg that breaks against it, no matter how right the wall or how wrong the egg, I will stand on the side of the egg. This is my favorite quote from Haruki Murakami, because it means that as human beings, as individuals, we are considered eggs. And we always have to go against a big, gigantic system, cold system, right? And we must always remember that we cannot let the system control and create us, because we are the ones who create the system. And I believe solo journalism will bring that change, right? Okay, so thank you very much.